Zach, hello, welcome.
We're here.
We're here for episode number 7 of our MMA recap and reactions, also known as Stocky Talk. So how's your Thanksgiving, Zach? How you feeling?
Not too bad. I think I did put on a couple lbs, but I didn't go too crazy. I'm more of a dessert guy, so I did go a little hard in the paint on the pumpkin pie. Yeah, cookies and pies. Yeah. How about you? Did you live up to the Stocky name?
So, what I did was I kind of had a strange Thanksgiving. I have grandparents that live in Willow Valley, a retirement home.
Oh, okay.
So in order to accommodate every palate and every sensitive stomach, they take what would be a traditional Thanksgiving and throw it into a blender, so it becomes very mushy and pureed, and you don't need teeth to eat it. And I typically like to use my teeth to eat food. So, bottom line is that didn't eat too much at Thanksgiving. Couldn't stomach it.
Did you have any pureed food?
Oh God, yeah. And I was like spooning it. I was like, it's okay. Happy Thanksgiving. Like, my grandma had a stroke a week ago, so little fragile. So I'm not trying to frazzle her.
Yeah.
But she did not eat. So what happened was I was very hungry when I got home, and I made about 6 eggs and a pound of bacon, and I just went
by yourself. That was your Thanksgiving.
So I did a little Thanksgiving by myself, and he would have to roll me around to move me after that. That was quite a lot. So not traditional Thanksgiving, but I was okay with it. Yeah. But then I was also thankful for a few other things, like the fights that occurred.
A lot of fights yesterday.
UFC Fight Night 141 in China.
Yeah, it was in Beijing. Man, it was on UFC Fight Pass. I woke up at little before 6:30. The main card started at 6:30. It was up around, I'm an early bird, but I didn't really want to get up that early, but it's what it is. Yeah. A UFC fan, and my man Alistair Overeem fought. He was the co-main event. Fought a undefeated Russian. I'm not going to try and butcher his name by trying to pronounce it.
I read somewhere that Uberni had to Google him before the fight. I had no idea who it was.
Yeah. He was like 15-0, bunch of finishes. The regional champion out there, or in Russia. And then they fought debut in China against Overeem. And even though Overeem's had a rocky career at some points, man, that's not a guy you want to make your debut against. And Overeem, picked him apart a little on the feet, took him down, and just pounded him out. KO first round.
Looked like his old self.
He looked improved. Yeah. Looked confident. I think that's why his career has been so long. I don't know the exact number of fights, but I think he has run like 75 or more pro fights. Probably more, including kickboxing. But I think why he does so well is, one, the heavyweight division usually evolves at a lot slower rate. And Overeem does a lot of, he gets some flack for it, but I've kind of always understood why. Is he bounces around his camps a lot. He changes camps all the time. He's one of those guys that if it's broke, he fixes it almost right away. And if he, maybe loses 2 times at one camp, then he'll bounce and go somewhere else. Like I said, the heavyweight division evolves at a lot slower rate because the guys are so big and not as athletic, so they rely on power a lot more.
Well, even Derek Lewis mentioned the same thing. He
Yeah.
says, "Look, I don't really have any skills." Like, he does,
and he earned himself a championship fight. You know, the division just moves at a slower rate.
He's not a,
So Overeem bounces around a lot. Established himself for this fight. Training camp at Team Elevation in Colorado, training with Curtis Blades, who Curtis Blades beat him in his last fight. So he went out there to train with Curtis Blades, really worked on his wrestling, worked obviously at Elevation, working on his cardio, and just got back to his roots of looking to improve and evolve. And man, he went out there and whooped that ass. Curtis Blades, his teammate, though, not so hot in the main event, man. Well, Francis Ngannou.
Well, I mean, it's a little different of a story. Curtis Blades he was largely considered to be next in line for a title shot at one point. Yeah. Like, he was upset that Daniel Cormier got the shot with Stipe before he did. But I mean, it made sense.
Deserving, yeah.
But, everyone thought Curtis Blades was really deserving. He had correct me if I'm wrong, a pretty impressive winning streak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
He was on a streak and taking out, ranked guys. Yeah.
But then when you get Francis Ngannou, who at one time was King Kong, world beater, could knock down cities with a single punch. And then after Stipe, he kind of felt like an elephant who saw a mouse.
Yeah.
And then, because him and Derek Lewis had considerably one of the worst fights of all time.
Mm-hmm. I think Francis bought into his own hype. I think he did used to train really hard and push himself, but then once he got a couple quick first round KOs, that I don't think he started taking his training as serious, and he probably slept on Stipe, which obviously was the bad decision. Mm. And then with Lewis, he admitted to being so nervous pre-fight because of how tired he got in his last fight. He was like trying to conserve himself, but then he never did anything.
Right.
So so now this was, I believe, his first fight since that fight against Lewis, and man, he got back to his old self. He came out, cracked Blades with a right hand early, dropped him and pounded him out. I think it was like 40 seconds in the first round. Scary.
Made Curtis Blades not seem like a top contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shit happens, but Curtis Blades, but
there's some people saying that they should do the rematch with Overeem and Francis after them both winning. I still don't really want to see that.
No.
Overeem was almost dead, and that was a pretty scary. The fights that I want to see Overeem versus Derek Lewis. I think that would be good.
Okay.
And I want to see Francis rematch Stipe. Because Stipe, as much as he tweets about it, he's not getting the next title shot. It's going to be Lesnar in DC. And then, so that leaves Stipe standing there, waiting for a dance partner. I would say have Stipe either fight Francis or Overeem, and then do...
I would argue, did Stipe ever fight Derek Lewis?
No. But Lewis they're both coming off a loss to DC, so that could make sense
line
too.
After Lesnar.
But I just don't want to see Francis and Overeem again.
No. I would like to see Overeem and Stipe.
Yeah, I would like to see that one again. I think that would be a good one.
I think that'd be a good one.
I don't think that anyone's...
I'm a big Stipe fan, and I think that he felt... like as far as in the spotlight, I don't think he ever got the adequate spotlight he deserved, because at one point, he surpassed Cain Velasquez's dominance at the heavyweight title reign. And was it 5 defenses in a row? 4 in a row? Mm-hmm. Perhaps the heavyweight does not have the technical prowess as a 125, 135, and so on. But it's the most dangerous division because you get cracked once, i.e. Francis Ngannou, it can almost kill you. Yeah. So something to be said about Stipe's run, and I just think that give him a fight that is fair, competitive, in a big spotlight fight. Like, give the guy some credit. Yeah. I think that while Daniel Cormier and he had their fight and Cormier did KO him in the first round, I would love to see a rematch of that at some point. Not that I believe it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm a Stipe fan.
And another, we could touch on it later in the rumors, but a rumor going around that I just remembered right now is Cain Velasquez coming back 2019. That's what I'm hearing through the
what was his injury
podcast
that had him out so long?
He had a ton of injuries, knees and his back. His back was the main injury, but supposedly he's all healed up and been training and doing everything. It's just contract disputes. So
we all know what happened with. I guess we'll get there eventually. But speaking of back surgeries, someone made a pretty righteous comeback from a string of them. ... Tito Ortiz.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought we were talking. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. So, Chuck Tito event.
Man.
De La Hoya, Golden Boy MMA won their first event. Chuck Tito 3.
Yeah, something else. What a promotion.
It was on the Fight TV app. The quality of the stream was good. There wasn't any lagging or anything like that.
Okay,
I would say the quality of the event itself was
absolute garbage, in my opinion.
In comparison to Bellator and the UFC
and Art of War.
Yeah, I think it looked like a regional promotion. Is a regional promotion in Virginia.
And
that's what it looked like to
where
me.
They didn't sell enough tickets.
Yeah,
it almost sounded when they panned out some of the entrances. I think they fixed it throughout the promotion because they only had more aerial views of the cage.
Yeah.
But when they panned that stage, it was probably 40% full. And when you have names like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, you have those two kind of names.
I mean,
how the hell do you not sell it out?
By the main event, the place was packed.
Okay.
But the undercard, or it wasn't even the undercard, it was the rest of the main card. It was pretty empty in there. And rightfully so, I mean, I've gone to a couple UFCs, and I get there when the first fight starts, and I stay till after the main event. Like, I want to get what I paid for. Yeah. You could tell a lot of the people that came were just there for Chuck and Tito, especially it being in California. Yeah. But, it looked like a regional show. It had guys on there that were good, not great, and I expect more from De La Hoya, but at the same time, I'm not surprised.
And they also had, at one point, the sound was louder with the audience than it was the commentators.
Yeah.
So they had Frank Mir and Rashad Evans, who I would consider to be pretty.
Yeah, they're good commentators, especially
commentators.
Frank Mir does a real good job, and Rashad's not bad at all. Yeah, we could hear the crowd more than.
It almost sounded as if
later in the night they fixed it.
Mir show until people got there.
Yeah, I didn't think of that until someone else said that. But they could have been doing that to make it sound more crowded. But it was, the quality was just.
And Oscar De La Hoya, as far as being a speaker goes, I mean, I wouldn't have him as a guest on Stocky.
No, he wasn't selling any pay-per-views. That's for sure.
What the hell?
I bought it because I'm a sucker for. Good MMA and freak show MMA.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for it. I'm a fan. But
it's like watching a car accident.
Yeah, he's not the best promoter unless your name's Canelo Alvarez. That's about it.
Yeah. And Canelo Alvarez is like goldmine. He's one of these people to promote in the whole world.
Yeah. He doesn't have to do a whole lot.
You don't have to do shit to be a
Just
promoter.
not eat some special tacos to fail a drug test. Yeah. That's another story. But so what'd you think of the Liddell Ortiz fight itself?
Well, I don't know if I made a public prediction on the Stocky Talk podcast,
but we both had a prediction.
But I had a prediction, and that prediction was not what I wanted to happen, what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
And what I thought was going to happen was that Tito Ortiz would put Chuck down either against the fence or against the mat and pound him out, knock him out in the first round. And the reason I thought that was because. Good luck to Chuck, but 10 years ago, I don't think I would have made the same prediction. No. It would have been 33 and 38.
Yeah.
Still reasonably
old, but
kind of old.
As ancient, yeah.
But not like as in they might die.
Chuck Liddell
at 48 years old looks great, but he also looks like USADA didn't test him.
He looks great as in on Instagram, but. Dude, when they were showing pictures of him in the back before, or a video of him in the back before he walked out, like he was hobbling around. Even when he got into the cage before the fight started, he was walking out. It looked like he was limping, but it could have just been that old man strut. His face looked really old and been through some wars.
It has.
Which clearly it has. But man, and then when the fight started, man, just how he was moving around, and I'm a diehard Chuck fan.
It looked like he had knee pain.
It looked like he just had whole body old man pain.
Yeah.
Years of abuse, and I'm a diehard fan. I've been watching him since the beginning. He was my first favorite fighter I ever had. He inspired me to look up get into kickboxing.
Sure. And what year?
I mean, I've been watching him since 2005.
Right.
Started training 2008, fighting 2010. So big inspiration.
So when you started fighting, he was already kind of over the hill.
He was getting there. He was getting there for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely was. And, that was post Rashad Evans KO. Yeah, he was past his prime, for sure. But I followed him through the whole thing. And, but yeah, it was tough to watch. Tito Ortiz didn't look great, but, man, he looked like light years better. Yeah. And he looked light years younger than Liddell. He looked like he's been training a lot smarter. Mm-hmm. And, Chuck looked like, based off interviews, this was the first time he had a real training camp where he trained smart, focused on recovery, focused on skill work, where a lot of his training for his entire career, he said, was just meathead training. He said they were just lifting weights and sparring. There wasn't a whole lot of
what
technical advice. Yeah, and it kind of showed in his fights when you look at his technique. Because I had off work Friday for the holiday, and I watched a bunch of old like prime Chuck Liddell fights, and it's just so crazy to see how much the sport evolved. But he was basically just a street fighter with really good power,
swinging and banging,
like not great technique at all, and like real bad technique. And in the fight, and that was his prime. He was just getting away because he was so powerful with his right hand.
Yeah,
and he kicked fairly hard. And he used to be able to really take a punch because he would just eat punches and then catch guys. He was definitely a guy that would eat a few just to land one, and his one would put you out. But so he didn't even look great back then in his heyday. Then you fast forward to 2018, and he's almost 50, and man, he looked so bad.
So what's next for Chuck?
Retirement.
Not John Jones?
No, definitely not John Jones.
Okay. That would be retirement in a worse way.
That would be bad. No one wants to see that.
No one does.
I don't even think John Jones wants to do that.
No, he doesn't. He probably respects Chuck Liddell way too much for that.
Yeah, I guess. But, Chuck needs to just retire, man. I hope he made a ton of money. I hope he retires. And Tito said, win or lose, I'm done. I don't want to fight. And then after the fight, they're like, is this really the last one? He's like, I don't know. So I'm just like, I
hope it is.
I hope it is.
Because he's someone that came back from what? Spinal surgery, back surgery,
neck surgery. He's had multiple neck and back surgeries, knee surgeries.
That's like everything. The worst type of
all
surgery
kinds
to
of
have.
Shit. Cracked skull,
God.
He's had everything, and he's had it all worked on. He's always came back. He's got big melon, but I'd like to see them both just walk away, man. Just walk away.
Just be done with it. Every dog has his day, and
their days are numbered, man.
Every fighter has his last
fight.
If
Tito keeps sticking around, he's going to end up looking like how Chuck did. Tito was able to put a run together late in his career.
Yeah.
And then retired with a win over, the self-proclaimed GOAT, JLP. And then came back just to fight. Chuck avenged that double loss that he had to Chuck. Got knocked out by Chuck twice.
Oh, my gosh.
Then he KO'd Chuck pretty bad in the first round. I think he just needs to walk away.
I agree with you. And I also think that, there's been some rumors. And one of the rumors...
Speaking of legends.
Speaking of legends, speaking of people that, when they were in their prime is when I started getting into MMA, there ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
One of the GOATs, man.
I would say absolutely. And I really started following Anderson Silva like 2008, 2009. And I think the first ever live UFC fight I watched, pay-per-view at a buddy's house, we had like 30 people there. It was Forrest Griffin.
That was the first time you saw Anderson Silva?
Like, not without... I watched his...
Like, the first time you watched him...
Live. Like, I was watching the event. And it was awesome. You could just tell it was
him with that step-back jab.
Yeah, he just like...
Yeah.
And at that point, you're like, wait, that's fighting? Like, he looks like a Jedi.
He's a beast, man.
He looks like he's using the Force to his favor.
The first time, I only ever watched the UFC. I didn't watch, like, back when I first started watching it, I just watched, like, boxing and the UFC. I didn't even know there was other promotions. And, I was watching and I saw Anderson Silva's debut versus Chris Lieben.
Oh.
And that's when Chris Lieben was one win away from a title shot. They said, like, this is the #1 contender fight. And I was like, who is this guy? Who's this tall, skinny guy they're bringing in to fight Chris Lieben? I'm like, Chris Lieben's going to punch this guy's head in. He's knocking everybody out. And then Anderson Silva basically did what he did to Forrest Griffin to an extent to Chris Lieben. He knocked him out in 49 seconds.
What?
And then started dancing after it. I became an instant fan. So, like, my guys growing up were Chuck Liddell and Anderson Silva. And Anderson Silva did things that you didn't think was real, you didn't think was possible.
Right.
He was so ahead of his time.
Right.
But Father Time has already tapped Anderson on the shoulder.
And so is Chris Weidman.
Yeah.
On the chin and the shin.
He's tapped him on the chin and the shin.
And I think the shin one was probably one of the most grotesque injuries.
Hardest thing to watch ever.
And because it was Anderson Silva too. And you're like, oh wait, is Chris Weidman rubbing kryptonite salve on his bones before this? Because Superman, let's face it, the Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva. You could have called that knockout something that was, Anderson just
like he was playing around. Yeah,
he slept on him. Anderson did not sleep on Chris Weidman the second go around. And
Chris whipped his ass.
The
whole first round, and then.
And I think the break.
Yeah, and he said he worked on that too. Like he said that after the first fight, he said that he dominated Anderson, but the only thing that he was sore, that he received from Anderson was inside of his leg from kicks. So he said he worked on checking kicks every day. And he said his coach, shout out to Ray Longo, said that early in his career he broke someone's shin with that type of check. So they drilled that the whole camp. And that's why he said he was celebrating, even though, because that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. He snapped Anderson's shin and then started celebrating, running around. But he said it's because they worked on that. I just think it's messed up. But at the same time, you break someone's arm in an armbar, you're going to celebrate anyway. So I guess I give him the benefit of the doubt. But the reason we're talking about Anderson Silva, it's announced that in February at UFC 234, I think, fighting Stylebender, Israel Adesanya, basically the new school Anderson Silva. And Stylebender said that Anderson inspired him way back in the day. And
he's 29. Israel's 29.
Do you think Anderson's going to pass the torch, or do you think he's going to be able to beat?
Of the memes I've seen, a couple of them said, "Hey, go to Lowe's, get a torch, and just pass it." But my thing with Anderson is I feel like his, how do I say it? He fought Nick Diaz.
Not the best fight.
Not the best fight. He fought Daniel Cormier.
Not the best
fight. And Daniel Cormier kind of was a blanket.
Derek Brunson, and a lot of people think Brunson won that fight.
And Derek Brunson also fought Israel.
Yeah, recently. And got fucking starched.
Destroyed.
Starched.
So I just hope that I love Anderson Silva, and I do not want him. He's 43. Tito Ortiz is also 43. And Anderson Silva is much closer to Chuck Liddell's age than he is to Israel Adesanya's age. And I just hope that it's like a liver shot. Because I don't think Anderson's a big drinker. Yeah. But I also predict, if I had to predict this, and it's not what I want to happen, so I think will happen. I think Stylebender's going to destroy him and just stop the career. And the torch will be passed. It's going to be like a Hail Mary pass, like one of these like sky hooks.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bad KO. I think it's going to be similar to like what Machida did to Vitor. Just starched flat on his back. It's going to be an ugly highlight. And I haven't heard any interviews with Stylebender since it was announced yet, but I have heard him since his last fight. People say, what about Anderson Silva? And he's even said, man, listen, I respect him. He's one of the GOATs. I don't want that fight, man. He's like, I don't want to do that to that guy. That. Like, he doesn't want to, because it's like one of his idols. He doesn't want to kill away one of his heroes. Though. But at the same time, he said that if that's what they want, he said, then we'll do it. But he said, I'd rather fight a contender than fight a guy that I looked up to. But if that's what they ask, I'll do it. And I guess that's what they want.
Because what happens if Anderson Silva wins?
Oh, that'd be sick, man. That'd be sick.
Then he retires and he just says,
Nah, he'll keep going. He's going to be like Chuck. He's going to keep going until he shouldn't. That's what I think. I think he's got two more. He's going to lose to Israel real bad, and then he'll have like a farewell fight. That's what, against like a legend or something. I think that's what they do. But if he wins...
Because it's 85. And how's 85 for him? Is it tough for him to still make?
It's been a couple years since he fought. So
yeah. I would love to see George St. Pierre versus Anderson Silva. We're talking about legend fights. Because it's a stylistic clash. It's like the...
When they were in their prime, I'd want to see it, but right now I think it would be a shit show.
It's like the prehistoric Khabib versus Conor type thing.
Yeah.
It would be a shit show.
Yeah, it would be bad.
And I love George St. Pierre. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So, that would be when? UFC 234 in February of 19?
February in Melbourne, Australia. I think that's where it's at. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
I love Stylebender. He's one of my favorite fighters right now. I absolutely love watching him fight. He's hilarious on social media.
His interview skills are tight.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. He's a new breed. Mm-hmm. He's a future world champ. I was hoping that he would fight Jacare, That's what I hope that he fought, but it doesn't look like that's happening.
I also would have liked to see him versus Yoel.
Mm-hmm. I think that would have been his. I think Yoel's his toughest matchup. Yoel, Whitaker, and Gaslam are his 3 toughest matchups. But I think out of all of them, Yoel's the toughest.
Yeah. So maybe for a title if that ever happened. But I did want to mention before I forget. Speaking of Yoel Romero, fun fact: I saw on a meme and I didn't know he fact checked, so I'm going to go with the meme being true. Abraham Lincoln said, "Believe every meme you've ever seen."
Okay.
Yeah, on the internet. That when the last time Chuck Liddell fought Tito Ortiz, that Yoel Romero was 0-0 in the UFC.
I think I saw that too. Yeah.
And also John Jones was 0-0, and also Brock Lesnar was 0-0, and Demetrius Johnson 0-0. And
I could believe it. Yeah, that's a long time ago.
A couple
dude.
more. That is fucking crazy.
Brock
Lesnar fought for the strap at UFC 100.
I have 42 fights, and I was 0-0 when the last time they fought. I remember it because I don't remember the exact date or what number UFC it was, but I remember when it took place because my parents weren't as into UFC as I was at that point in time. Now they're like diehard fans. And I wasn't training in MMA yet, so it was before 2008 for sure.
Yeah.
It was way before 2008.
Oh, yeah.
And so they wouldn't get the pay-per-views until like I started training, and then they saw I was really into it. Then they started getting it. So I remember I didn't watch the fight and then woke up early Sunday morning and went to Google and typed it in and just kept refreshing the page. And I would like cover up the results and cover up the length of the video. And then play. So I watched it not live, but it felt like it was live.
Yeah.
I remember I was so hyped when Chuck Liddell won. I think it was like 3rd round TKO, ground and pound.
Oh my god!
But it was a long time ago. I could believe it, man.
So it was probably 10+ years.
Definitely over 10 years. Yeah.
Jeez.
I think it was 2005 or 6, probably 2006, something like that.
What a legacy fight. So
crazy.
Well, with that being said, let's
end it there.
Yeah, end it there. Thanks to everyone that's watched.
Keep tuning in.
Tune in, subscribe, like, share, all those fun things that you can do to help us get more popularity. Also, give us feedback if you think something sucks. I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
If you think something's cool, I always like compliments.
Definitely.
So.